The council chamber floated in the void between stars, a massive station built by 17 different species over 3,000 years. Inside its grand hall, representatives from 47 civilizations sat in their designated sections, their bodies as different as the worlds they came from. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few were just clouds of gas held together by magnetic fields. Ambassador Zixthar of the Vrelnian Collective adjusted his translator implant and watched the emergency session unfold with growing concern. His 4 eyes, arranged in a square pattern on his flat face, blinked in sequence as he processed the terrible news. The holographic display in the center of the chamber showed star systems going dark, one after another. Each red mark represented billions of lives lost. The Krethian Dominion has destroyed another system, announced High Chancellor Mora, her crystalline body reflecting the harsh light of the display. Her voice carried no emotion, but everyone in the chamber could feel the weight of her words. That makes 17 systems in the past month. Their superweapon shows no signs of slowing down. A murmur of fear rippled through the assembled representatives. The Krethians had always been aggressive, but this was something new. Their weapon could crack a planet like an egg and boil away its atmosphere in minutes. It could turn a star unstable, making an entire system unlivable. Nothing in the galaxy could stop it. "We must respond with force," growled Ambassador Krax of the Thorn Empire, his 6 arms gesturing wildly. His species looked like walking trees with bark-like skin and branch-like limbs. "Every day we wait, more innocents die." "Our fleets are already engaged on 7 fronts," replied Admiral Shentok, his insectoid body clicking nervously. "The Krethians planned this well. They attacked when our forces were spread thin across the galaxy. We do not have enough ships to mount an effective defense." Zixthar had feared this moment for weeks. He had run the calculations himself, checked them 3 times, and even consulted the best military minds in the collective. The math was simple and terrible. The Council's combined fleets could not win this war. Not with current numbers, not with current technology. "There is one option we have not discussed," said Chancellor Mora, and the chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what she was about to say. Everyone had been thinking it, but no one wanted to be the first to suggest it. The humans. The reaction was immediate. Some representatives shouted in anger. Others laughed. A few simply sat in stunned silence. Humans were primitives, barely more advanced than cave dwellers. They had discovered nuclear power and immediately tried to destroy themselves with it. The Council had found them 200 years ago, killing each other over land and resources and ideas. They were violent, irrational, and dangerous. "You cannot be serious," said Ambassador Vrel of the Peaceful Union, her tentacles writhing in distress. "The humans are under quarantine for good reason. They nearly destroyed their own world twice." "Exactly," said Chancellor Mora. "They are violent. They are aggressive. These are the qualities we need right now. The Krethians respect only strength and fear. Perhaps the humans can provide both." Zixthar felt his stomach's twist. He had studied the human files extensively. They were a fascinating species if terrifying. They had evolved as persistence hunters, chasing their prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They had conquered their entire planet, adapted to every environment, and turned their world into a garden. Then they had nearly burned it all down in wars that used weapons of incredible destruction. The Council had placed them under quarantine immediately. A barrier had been erected around their solar system, preventing them from leaving and preventing others from entering. It was for their own good, the Council said. Humans needed time to mature, to grow beyond their violent nature. Maybe in 1,000 years they would be ready to join galactic civilization. "I will volunteer to make contact," Zixthar said, surprising himself. Every eye in the chamber turned to him. "I have studied their culture. I know their languages. If we are to ask them for help, we must do it properly." Chancellor Mora's crystalline face reflected his image back at him. "Very well, Ambassador. You will travel to Earth and negotiate with their leaders. We will conscript their soldiers, their warriors. They will serve as ground troops, as cannon fodder if necessary. In return, we will offer them technology, resources, whatever they desire." "And if they refuse?" asked Zixthar. "They will not refuse," said Admiral Shentok with certainty. "Humans are primitives. They will be honored to serve the Council. They will see it as their chance to prove themselves worthy of joining us." Zixthar was not so certain, but he kept his thoughts to himself. 3 days later, He boarded his ship, a small diplomatic vessel designed for speed rather than comfort. The journey to the human system would take 2 weeks through the standard jump lanes. He spent that time reviewing everything known about humans. They were bipedal mammals, relatively fragile compared to most spacefaring species. They required oxygen and water, had relatively short lifespans, and lacked any natural weapons like claws or venom or armor. Yet they had dominated their planet completely. They had turned deserts into farms, dammed mighty rivers, and built cities that stretched for hundreds of miles. Their technology was primitive by galactic standards. They had only recently achieved fusion power. Their computers were massive and slow. They had no shields, no energy weapons, no faster-than-light travel. They had sent a few probes beyond their system, simple machines that crawled through space at a fraction of light speed. But their weapons, their weapons were something else entirely. They had created bombs that could level cities, missiles that could fly across their world in minutes, and satellites that watched everything. They had turned their entire planet into a fortress, not to defend against alien invasion, but to defend against each other. The files showed images of human warfare, massive armies clashing across continents, cities reduced to rubble, weapons that poisoned the air and water. Humans seemed to excel at finding new ways to kill each other. It was horrifying and, in their current situation, potentially useful. As his ship approached the edge of the human system, Zixthar prepared his opening speech. He would be diplomatic, respectful, but firm. The Council needed human soldiers, and the humans would provide them. It was not really a request. It was conscription dressed up as an opportunity. His ship's sensors detected the quarantine barrier, a shimmering field of energy that surrounded the entire system. It was old technology, designed to be impassable to the primitive human ships. Zixthar sent the standard override code, the one that would let him pass through without issue. The barrier did not open. Instead, his communication system crackled to life. A human voice spoke using perfect galactic standard, the universal language of the Council. The accent was strange, but the words were clear. Unknown vessel, you are approaching restricted space. Identify yourself and state your purpose. You are not authorized to enter this system. Zixthar felt all 4 of his eyes widen in shock. The humans were not supposed to know galactic standard. They were not supposed to have communication technology that could reach beyond their planet. They were not supposed to be able to detect his ship at all. Something was very, very wrong. This is Ambassador Zixthar of the Vrelnian Collective, representing the Galactic Council, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. I request permission to enter your system for diplomatic purposes. It is a matter of great urgency. There was a long pause. Then the human voice returned, and this time Zixthar could hear something in it. Not fear or excitement or curiosity. It was something else. Something that made his blood run cold. It was amusement. Permission denied, Ambassador. You will remain at your current position. If you wish to speak with Earth's representatives, you may do so from there. We will send someone to meet you. Eventually. The communication cut off, leaving Zixthar alone with his growing sense of dread. The humans were not the primitives the Council believed them to be. They had technology that should not exist. They had detected his ship through military-grade stealth systems. They spoke the Council's language, and they had just told a Galactic Council ambassador what to do. Zixthar looked out at the quarantine barrier and realized the terrible truth. The barrier was not there to keep the humans in. It had never been there to keep them in. It was there to keep everyone else out. The humans had been hiding something for 200 years, and the galaxy was about to find out what it was. Zixthar waited at the edge of the human system for 3 days. His ship floated in the darkness of space, unable to cross the barrier, unable to return home without completing his mission. He sent messages every few hours, each one more urgent than the last. The humans did not respond. On the 4th day, something appeared on his sensors. A ship was approaching from inside the system, moving fast, very fast. Zixthar checked the readings twice, certain his equipment was malfunctioning. The ship was traveling at speeds that should not be possible without jump drives, yet it was moving through normal space. The human vessel slowed as it approached, and Zixthar got his first look at human military technology. The ship was sleek and angular, covered in what looked like dark metal plates. It had no visible weapons, no sensor arrays, no engine ports. It was smooth and clean like a knife cutting through space. It stopped exactly 1 kilometer away from his position. Ambassador Zixthar, came a human voice through his communication system. I am Captain Maria Santos of the United Earth Space Command. I apologize for the delay. We needed time to verify your identity and discuss your request. United Earth Space Command, Zixthar repeated, confused. The files said humans had dozens of different nations, all competing with each other. I was not aware Earth had unified. There is a lot the Council is not aware of, Ambassador, Captain Santos replied. Her voice was calm, almost friendly. Before we continue, I need to inform you that this conversation is being recorded and transmitted directly to Earth's leadership and the Galactic Council. We believe in transparency. Zixthar felt a chill run through his body. The humans were transmitting to the Council? That meant they had faster-than-light communication technology. That meant they had been listening to Council transmissions. For how long? How long have you been monitoring Council communications? He asked. 153 years, 4 months, and 17 days, Captain Santos answered immediately. We detected your surveillance satellites about 47 years after you placed them in our system. It took us another 10 years to crack your encryption and understand your language. We have been listening ever since. Zixthar struggled to process this information. The humans had discovered the Council's presence over a century ago. They had kept it secret. They had learned the Council's language. They had been watching and listening, learning everything about galactic civilization while pretending to be primitive savages. The nuclear events, Zixthar said slowly. The wars, the near extinctions. Those were staged, Captain Santos confirmed. Well, partly. The first few were real. We were young and stupid, but once we knew you were watching, we decided to continue appearing unstable. We wanted you to leave us alone while we figured out what kind of galaxy we lived in. You deceived us, Zixthar said, feeling anger rise in his chest. You made us believe you were dangerous primitives. We are dangerous, Ambassador, Captain Santos said, and there was steel in her voice now. We did not lie about that, but we are not primitives. We have had 200 years to study your technology, to learn from your mistakes, to advance beyond your limitations. The question is, why are you here? What does the Council want with Earth? Zixthar took a deep breath and explained the situation. He told Captain Santos about the Creathian Dominion, about the superweapon destroying star systems, about the Council's desperate need for soldiers. He tried to make it sound like an honor, an opportunity for humanity to prove itself worthy. Captain Santos listened in silence. When Zixthar finished, there was a long pause. Then she spoke, and her words were not what he expected. Let me make sure I understand correctly. The Council wants to conscript human soldiers to fight in a war that has nothing to do with Earth. You want to use us as cannon fodder against an enemy that has already destroyed 17 star systems, and in return you offer us outdated technology and the privilege of serving you. It is not like that, Zixthar protested, though he knew it was exactly like that. This is an opportunity for humanity to join the galactic community, to prove that you are more than violent primitives. Ambassador, we do not need to prove anything to you, Captain Santos said coldly. We have been studying the Council for over a century. We know about your rigid caste systems, your territorial disputes, your petty politics. We know that the peaceful Council maintains order through threat of force. We know that species are ranked by when they joined, not by their contributions or capabilities. We know that humans would enter at the bottom, treated as second-class citizens for centuries. Zixthar felt his carefully prepared arguments crumbling. The humans had seen through everything. They understood the Council's flaws, its prejudices, its failures. They had been watching and judging, and they had found the Council wanting. But, Captain Santos continued, and Zixthar heard her tone shift slightly, we have also been watching the Creathian attacks. We have seen the casualties. We have intercepted the desperate messages from dying worlds. And despite our grievances with the Council, we are not going to stand by and watch genocide. You will help? Zixthar asked, hope rising in his chest. We will provide limited defensive support to species under attack, Captain Santos clarified. Not because we serve the Council, not because we seek membership or approval, but because it is the right thing to do. However, we do this on our terms. What are your terms? Zixthar asked nervously. First, Earth's sovereignty is non-negotiable. We will not join the Council. We will not accept Council law or authority over our affairs. Second, we choose where and when we fight. We will not be ordered around like mercenaries. Third, after this conflict is resolved, the Council will leave Earth alone. No surveillance, no interference, no demands. We will contact you when we are ready for formal relations. The terms were outrageous. No species had ever dictated conditions to the Council before. But Zixthar was not in a position to argue. The Council needed help desperately, and the humans clearly had capabilities that could make a difference. I will transmit your terms to the Council, Zixthar said carefully, but I must see evidence of your capabilities. The Council will not commit to such terms without proof that you can actually help. Of course, Captain Santos said, and Zixthar could hear the smile in her voice. Stand by for a demonstration. The human ship began to move away, accelerating impossibly fast. Then, without warning, space itself seemed to ripple. The darkness of the void shimmered like water, and suddenly there were more ships, many more ships. Zixthar's sensors went wild as vessel after vessel appeared, materializing out of nowhere. 10 ships, 20, 50. They kept coming, emerging from some kind of stealth technology that made them completely invisible. Within minutes, there were over 100 human warships arranged in perfect formation. Each ship was different in size and shape, but all shared the same sleek, deadly design. Some were massive, the size of Council dreadnoughts. Others were small and quick, like fighters, but larger. They moved in coordination, shifting positions with precision that spoke of advanced computer systems or incredible training. This is First Fleet, 7th Division, Captain Santos announced. 120 vessels. We have 11 other fleets of similar size stationed throughout our system and beyond. Beyond? Zixthar whispered. You have left your system? Ambassador, we have 37 colonies in neighboring systems. All are self-sufficient, all are heavily defended, and all have been there for over 50 years. Your council has been so focused on watching Earth that you never noticed us expanding around you. Zixthar felt faint. The humans had not just advanced technologically. They had spread across multiple star systems right under the Council's watch. They had built fleets, established colonies, created a military infrastructure that rivaled the entire Council combined. How? He asked weakly. How did you do this? We learned from you, Captain Santos said simply. We studied every species in the Council. We took your best technologies and improved them. We avoided your mistakes and built on your successes, and we had one advantage you never had. What advantage? We knew we were being watched. We knew we had to be better, smarter, stronger. Fear and paranoia are wonderful motivators, Ambassador. You meant to contain us, but you gave us a goal instead. You made us push ourselves to the absolute limit of what was possible. One of the larger warships moved forward, and Zixthar saw weapons ports opening along its hull. Energy began to gather, visible even to his naked eyes. The ship fired, and a beam of pure destruction lanced out into empty space. It was brighter than anything Zixthar had ever seen, more powerful than Council weapons by an order of magnitude. The beam struck a small asteroid several thousand kilometers away, and the rock simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. That was set to 3% power, Captain Santos said casually. We have weapons your scientists would consider impossible. We have ships that can phase in and out of normal space. We have armor that adapts to any attack. We have been preparing for 2 centuries, Ambassador. Preparing for the day when we might need to defend ourselves against the entire galaxy. Zixthar stared at the fleet before him and finally understood. The humans were not just advanced. They were not just capable. They were potentially the most powerful military force in the known galaxy, and they had been hiding in plain sight for 200 years. Will you help us? He asked quietly. We already decided to help before you arrived, Captain Santos replied. But we wanted you to understand something first. Humanity is not joining your council as a junior partner or a servant race. When this war is over, when the Krethians are defeated, the galaxy will know the truth. Earth is not a protected primitive species. We are a sovereign power, and we will be treated as equals. The council will not accept this easily, Zixthar warned. The council will accept what it must, Captain Santos said firmly. Now transmit our terms to your leaders. Tell them that First Fleet will depart for the Valen homeworld in 6 hours. The Krethians are preparing another attack and we intend to stop them. Tell them that humanity has entered the war, not as soldiers of the Council, but as defenders of innocent life. The communication ended and Zixthar sat alone in his ship, surrounded by human warships that could destroy his vessel with a thought. He began composing his report to the Council, knowing that every word would change the course of galactic history. The humans were coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Valen homeworld of Sanctuary hung in space like a blue and green jewel, beautiful and fragile. From orbit, Commander Sarah Chen could see the scars of war across its surface. Smoke rose from burning cities. The oceans reflected the light of dozens of Krithian warships that surrounded the planet like predators circling wounded prey. Sarah stood on the bridge of the UNSC Indomitable, humanity's newest and most advanced warship. Around her, crew members worked at their stations with calm efficiency. Holographic displays showed tactical data, enemy positions, and the status of every ship in the human fleet. 200 Krithian capital ships filled the space around Sanctuary, and their superweapon was already charging for another devastating attack. "Enemy fleet has detected our arrival," reported Lieutenant Park from the sensor station. "They are attempting to identify us. Our stealth systems are holding, but they know something is here." "Drop stealth," Sarah ordered. "Let them see us. All ships assume attack formation Delta 7. The space around Sanctuary suddenly filled with human warships as they deactivated their cloaking systems. 500 vessels appeared as if from nowhere, spreading out in a pattern that surrounded the Krithian fleet. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, built with technology that the Council did not understand and could not replicate. Sarah opened a communications channel, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Attention, Krithian forces. This is Commander Sarah Chen of the United Nations Space Command. You are in violation of sovereign Valen space. You have committed acts of genocide against innocent populations. You have one opportunity to power down your weapons and withdraw from this system immediately." The response came quickly. A Krithian commander appeared on the main view screen, his reptilian face twisted in what might have been amusement. His scales were dark red, almost black, and his yellow eyes gleamed with arrogance. The Krithians were large creatures nearly 3 meters tall with natural armor plating and sharp claws. They had conquered 17 systems through pure military might. "Humans?" the Krithian commander hissed, his translator rendering his speech into English. "The Council sends their newest slave race to fight us? We have been warriors for 10,000 years. You are children playing with toys you do not understand. Leave now and we might let you live." Sarah felt anger rise in her chest, but her voice remained calm and professional. "This is your only warning. Power down your weapons and withdraw, or we will remove you by force." The Krithian commander laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "You have 500 ships. We have 200 capital vessels, each one powerful enough to destroy a planet, and we have the Worldbreaker." He gestured and the view screen showed the Krithian superweapon, a massive construct the size of a small moon. Energy crackled across its surface, building toward another devastating attack. "Watch as we demonstrate the price of defiance." The superweapon fired. A beam of pure destruction lanced down toward Sanctuary, capable of cracking the planet's crust and boiling away its atmosphere. Sarah had seen recordings of what this weapon could do. Entire civilizations erased in moments. Billions of lives ended in seconds. "Interceptor grid now," Sarah commanded. 3 human frigates moved into the path of the beam. Their hulls began to glow as they absorbed the incoming energy. The Worldbreaker's attack, powerful enough to destroy a world, struck the human ships and simply stopped. The energy dissipated harmlessly, absorbed by technology that turned the deadly attack into nothing more than light and heat. "Impossible," the Krithian commander whispered, his arrogance replaced by confusion. "Your turn," Sarah said coldly. "All ships, weapons free. Target the Krithian fleet, disable their vessels, but avoid lethal force where possible. I want them alive to face justice." The battle began in earnest. Human ships moved with impossible speed and precision, their advanced engines pushing them through space faster than Krithian sensors could track. Energy weapons that had taken the Council centuries to develop were old technology to humanity. Kinetic weapons, railguns that fired projectiles at 30% of light speed, tore through Krithian shields like paper. The Krithians fought back with everything they had. They were experienced warriors, veterans of countless battles. Their ships were powerful, their weapons devastating. They fired missiles, energy beams, plasma torpedoes, everything in their arsenal, but nothing worked against the human fleet. Human ships did not have traditional shields. They did not need them. Their hulls were covered in adaptive smart matter, a material that responded to attacks by changing its properties. Energy weapons were absorbed and redirected. Kinetic impacts were distributed across the entire ship structure. Even direct hits that should have destroyed human vessels only left minor damage. Enemy battleship targeting the Indomitable, called out Lieutenant Park. Multiple missile launch. Detected. Let them come, Sarah said calmly. Point defense systems online. The missiles streaked toward the Indomitable, dozens of warheads designed to crack open a ship's hull and detonate inside. They never made it. The human ship's point defense grid activated, small laser turrets that tracked and destroyed each missile with perfect accuracy. The explosions lit up space, but none came close to touching the Indomitable. Their shields are weakening, reported Commander Torres from the weapons station. Multiple Crethean ships showing critical damage. Sarah watched the tactical display as human ships systematically dismantled the Crethean fleet. It was not even a fair fight. The humans were 2 centuries ahead in technology, and it showed. Crethean ships that had terrorized the galaxy were being disabled one by one, their weapons destroyed, their engines crippled, their crews left helpless but alive. What are you? The Crethean commander gasped over the communication channel. His ship was badly damaged, listing to one side as fires burned across its hull. The Council said you were primitives. They said you barely understood space travel. The Council was wrong, Sarah replied, about a lot of things. Then something changed on the tactical display. The Worldbreaker, the Crethean superweapon, began charging again. But this time it was not targeting the planet. It was targeting the human fleet, preparing to fire a blast that would destroy everything in its path. The superweapon is charging, Lieutenant Park reported urgently. Full power. Estimate 30 seconds to firing, Sarah smiled. This was the moment they had planned for. Boarding teams, execute Operation Shutdown. Space itself seemed to tear open near the Worldbreaker. Not with ships, but with people. 30 human soldiers appeared directly inside the superweapons control center, teleported across thousands of kilometers by technology that bent the rules of physics. They wore advanced combat armor, carried weapons that fired smart bullets, and moved with military precision. The Crethean crew inside the Worldbreaker barely had time to react. The human soldiers moved through the control center like ghosts, their armor absorbing weapons fire and their movements too fast to track. Within minutes, they had secured the facility and shut down the charging sequence. Worldbreaker secured, reported Captain Miller, leader of the boarding team. Weapon disabled. Crethean crew is restrained and unharmed. On the main view screen, the Crethean commander stared in disbelief. You teleported soldiers. Through our shields, directly onto our most secure facility. How? We studied your technology for 150 years, Sarah explained. We know your shields, your weapons, your weaknesses. We know everything about you, Commander. You never knew anything about us. That is why you lost. The battle was over in 47 minutes. Every Crethean ship was disabled or captured. The Worldbreaker was under human control. Not a single human vessel had been destroyed, and casualties were minimal on both sides. The mighty Crethean fleet, terror of the galaxy, had been defeated by a species they had dismissed as primitives. Sarah opened a channel to the Velan government on the surface. This is Commander Chen of the UNSC. Your planet is secure. The Crethean threat has been neutralized. The response was filled with emotion, voices overlapping as Velan officials tried to express their gratitude. Thank you, they said over and over. Thank you for saving us. We thought we were doomed. You are safe now, Sarah assured them. We will leave a small security force in orbit until Council ships can arrive to take custody of the Crethean prisoners. But the immediate danger is past. She closed the channel and looked at her crew. They had trained for this moment, prepared for years to prove that humanity belonged among the stars. They had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. Commander, Lieutenant Park said, pointing at his display. We are receiving multiple communications from Council forces throughout the sector. They are asking for confirmation. They want to know if what just happened is real. Sarah considered for a moment, then opened a galaxy-wide broadcast channel. When she spoke, her voice would be heard by every Council ship, every monitoring station, every government listening to military frequencies. This is Commander Sarah Chen of the United Nations Space Command First Fleet. The siege of Sanctuary is over. The Crethean forces have been defeated and disarmed. Let this be known across the galaxy. Earth is not a primitive world. Humanity is not a slave race. We are not your inferiors. We are your equals, and we will be treated as such. To all species suffering under Crethean aggression, help is coming. Hold on. We are on our way. The broadcast ended and Sarah sat back in her command chair. Around her, the crew worked to secure the captured Krithian vessels and prepare for whatever came next. Through the view screen, Sanctuary gleamed peacefully, saved from destruction by human intervention. The galaxy had just learned that everything they believed about humanity was wrong. The species they had dismissed as violent primitives had just accomplished what the entire council could not. Earth had hidden its strength for 2 centuries, and now that strength was revealed for all to see. But Sarah knew this was only the beginning. The Krithian Dominion would not accept this defeat easily. They would retaliate with everything they had. And the council, faced with the truth about human capabilities, would have to decide whether Earth was an ally or a threat. The real test was still to come. But for now, humanity had proven one thing beyond doubt. They were not the weakest species in the galaxy. They might just be the strongest. And everyone was about to find out what that meant. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the largest gathering in centuries. Every ambassador sat in the Great Chamber, their attention fixed on the holographic display showing the impossible. Human ships patrolled around Sanctuary, while Krithian warships floated helplessly in space, disabled but intact. The World Breaker, the weapon that had destroyed 17 star systems, sat dark and silent under human control. Ambassador Zixthar stood at the center of the chamber, presenting his report. He had witnessed everything firsthand and still struggled to believe it. The human fleet defeated 200 Krithian capital ships in 47 minutes, he said, his voice steady despite his inner turmoil. They suffered 0 casualties, 0. The Krithians could not even damage their ships. This is a trick, snarled Ambassador Krax of the Thorn Empire, his branch-like arms gesturing wildly. No species advances that quickly. They must have stolen technology, or they are working with someone else. I watched it happen with my own sensors, Zixthar replied firmly. The humans did not steal anything. They studied us. They learned from us, and they built something better, much better. High Chancellor Mora's crystalline form reflected the worried faces around the chamber. The question before us is simple. What do we do about Earth? They have rejected our authority. They have revealed military capabilities that exceed our own. And now they have positioned themselves as saviors of the galaxy. We should destroy them before they become a threat, said Admiral Shentok, his insect-like body clicking nervously. We cannot allow a rogue species to possess such power. They are too dangerous. They just saved billions of lives, countered Ambassador Vrel of the Peaceful Union. They defeated our enemy when we could not. How can we call them a threat when they have done nothing but help? They deceived us for 200 years, Admiral Shentok shot back. They pretended to be primitives while building a war machine under our noses. Who knows what else they are hiding? We cannot trust them. The debate raged for hours. Some wanted to welcome humanity as equals. Others demanded Earth be contained or destroyed. A few suggested offering the humans junior membership in the council, which made Zixthar shake his head. The humans had already rejected that option. They would accept nothing less than full equality. While the council argued, the Krithian Dominion was mobilizing. In their home system, Emperor Vexthal received the news of the defeat at Sanctuary with cold fury. He was ancient even by Krithian standards, his scales scarred from 1,000 battles. He had built the Dominion into a galactic power through strength and fear. He would not let it end because of one species of clever apes. Summon the full armada, he commanded his generals. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon. We will crush Earth and show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us. Your Majesty, one general said hesitantly, the humans have superior technology. Their ships are faster, their weapons stronger. How can we hope to defeat them? Emperor Vexthal's yellow eyes gleamed with malice. They may have better ships, but we have more ships. Much more. And we will not attack their fleets. We will attack their home. We will destroy Earth itself and eliminate this threat permanently. The Krithian war machine began to move. From every corner of their empire, ships were called back to the home system. The Dominion's full military might had never been assembled in one place before. There had never been a need. 2,000 warships, including 6 world breakers, began the journey toward human space. Meanwhile, aboard the Indomitable near Sanctuary, Commander Sarah Chen received an encrypted message from Earth Command. She read it twice, then called her senior officers to the conference room. Captain Torres, Lieutenant Park, and Commander Williams gathered around the holographic table as Sarah displayed the intelligence report. Earth's deep space sensors have detected a massive Crethean fleet, Sarah explained. 2,000 capital ships moving toward Sol system. They are not hiding their approach. This is an all-out assault meant to destroy our homeworld. 2,000 ships, Captain Torres whistled softly. That is 4 times what we faced at Sanctuary. They are betting on overwhelming force, Commander Williams observed. They assume we cannot fight that many ships at once, no matter how advanced we are. Sarah smiled grimly. Then they are in for a surprise. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them to activate Operation Fortress. It is time to show the galaxy what we have really been building for 200 years. 3 weeks later, the Crethean armada arrived at the edge of the Sol system. Emperor Vexthal himself commanded the fleet from his flagship, the Annihilator. He looked at the primitive star system before him, the home of the creatures who had humiliated his forces at Sanctuary. Scan the system, he ordered. Find their fleet. The sensors swept across the solar system, and the results confused the Crethean technicians. They found ships, hundreds of them, but also something else. Strange structures, massive constructions that did not match any known design. Your Majesty, the sensor officer reported nervously. Mercury appears to be hollow. Our scans show it is not a natural planet anymore. It is artificial. Some kind of facility? What kind of facility? Emperor Vexthal demanded. Unknown, but it is massive. And it is active. Power readings are off the scale. Before the Emperor could respond, a transmission came through on all frequencies. A human woman appeared on the screen, her dark hair pulled back, her expression calm and professional. I am Admiral Jennifer Hayes, Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, she said. Emperor Vexthal, you have brought your fleet to our home system with hostile intent. This is your only chance to withdraw peacefully. Emperor Vexthal laughed. You are outnumbered 4-1, human. Your tricks will not save you here. We will burn your world and salt the ashes. You were warned, Admiral Hayes said simply, and the transmission ended. The Emperor raised his claw. All ships advance. Prepare to fire on the 3rd planet. The Crethean fleet moved forward, and that was when they saw it. Mercury, the small planet closest to the sun, began to open. Massive doors, each one thousands of kilometers across, slid apart to reveal the interior. It was not a planet. It was a shipyard, the largest shipyard ever constructed. Ships poured out of Mercury by the hundreds. Human warships, each one identical to those that had defeated the Cretheans at Sanctuary. They formed up in perfect ranks, filling the space between the enemy fleet and Earth. But they were not alone. Mars, the red planet, lit up with power. The entire surface was covered in defense platforms, weapons arrays, and shield generators. The planet itself had been converted into a fortress, bristling with enough firepower to fight an entire fleet. Count the human ships, Emperor Vexthal ordered, his confidence beginning to waver. Over 1,500 vessels, the sensor officer reported, and there are more emerging from Mercury. The facility is still active. They are launching new ships even as we watch. Then the asteroid belt began to move. Thousands of rocks that should have been inert suddenly activated. Each one was a hidden weapons platform, placed strategically throughout the belt. They had been waiting, silent and undetected, for exactly this moment. Energy signatures all around us, the sensor officer called out in panic. The asteroids are weapons. We are surrounded. Jupiter's moons activated next. They were not natural satellites. They were military installations, each one housing defense systems and support facilities. Saturn's rings were not ice and rock. They were sensor arrays and communication relays. The entire solar system was a trap, and the Cretheans had flown right into it. This is impossible, Emperor Vexthal whispered. No species could do this. The resources required, the time, the technology. Admiral Hayes's face appeared on screen again. You wanted to see what humanity has been doing for 200 years, Emperor? You are looking at it. We turned our entire star system into a fortress. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid has been modified for defense. You are not attacking a primitive world. You are attacking the most heavily fortified system in the galaxy. Fire! Emperor Vexthal roared. All ships fire everything. The Crethean fleet opened fire with every weapon they had. Energy beams, missiles, kinetic rounds, plasma torpedoes, everything in their arsenal launched at once. The barrage was devastating. Enough firepower to sterilize 100 worlds. The human defense network activated. Shields appeared. Not around individual ships, but around entire sections of space. Point defense systems intercepted thousands of missiles. Energy weapons were absorbed and redirected. The Crethean attack, powerful enough to destroy a solar system, accomplished nothing. Then the humans returned fire. Every weapon platform activated simultaneously. Every ship fired in perfect coordination. The asteroid belt lit up like a second sun as thousands of hidden weapons unleashed their fury. The Crethean fleet, packed tightly together for their assault, found themselves in a killing field with no escape. Ships exploded. Shields collapsed. Hulls were torn apart by weapons that hit with the force of small stars. The Cretheans tried to retreat, but the human ships were faster. They cut off escape routes, herded the enemy fleet into tighter formations, and continued their relentless assault. "We must withdraw," shouted one of the Crethean generals. "We cannot win this." "No," Emperor Vexthal growled. "Deploy the World Breakers. If we cannot conquer Earth, we will destroy it utterly." The 6 World Breakers began to charge their weapons. These were newer models, more powerful than the one captured at Sanctuary. Together, they had enough power to crack a planet's core and tear it apart from the inside. Admiral Hayes watched from Earth's command center as the superweapons charged. She opened a channel to a special division of the Defense Forces. "Ghost Squadron, you are cleared for Operation Decapitation." Deep in the asteroid belt, 12 human ships activated systems that went beyond even the advanced technology the Cretheans had seen. They did not move through space. They skipped it entirely, appearing instantly next to each world breaker. These were humanity's most advanced vessels, equipped with experimental weapons that bent the laws of physics. Before the Cretheans could react, the human ships fired, not energy weapons or kinetic rounds, but something else entirely. Reality itself seemed to crack around each world breaker. The superweapons simply ceased to exist, not destroyed but erased, removed from space and time by technology that should not be possible. Emperor Vexthal watched in horror as his ultimate weapons vanished. "What have you done?" he whispered. "We removed them," Admiral Hayes replied calmly. "You wanted to destroy our home, Emperor. We do not take kindly to that. Your fleet is defeated. Surrender now and your soldiers will be treated with honor. Continue fighting and we will dismantle every ship you have." The Emperor looked at his tactical display. Over half his fleet was disabled or destroyed. The humans had barely used a fraction of their forces. He was beaten and he knew it. "I surrender," he said, the words like poison in his mouth. The Crethean Dominion yields. The battle was over. The greatest military force the Cretheans had ever assembled was defeated by a species they had called primitives. Earth's defenses had held, and the message was clear to the entire galaxy. Humanity was not just powerful. They were untouchable. 3 months after the Battle of Sol, the Galactic Council chamber was quiet. Ambassador Zixthar stood once again before the assembled representatives, but this time a human stood beside him. Commander Sarah Chen wore her crisp military uniform, the flag of United Earth on her shoulder. She looked calm and composed, despite being the first human to ever address the council directly. The war was over. The Crethean Dominion had surrendered completely after their defeat at Earth. Emperor Vexthal was awaiting trial for war crimes. The systems they had conquered were being liberated, and the entire galaxy was trying to understand what had just happened. Members of the council, High Chancellor Mora began, her crystalline voice echoing through the chamber. "We gathered today to address the question of Earth's status in galactic affairs. Commander Chen, humanity has demonstrated capabilities far beyond what we believed possible. You have defeated our greatest enemy. You have saved countless lives, but you have also deceived us for 2 centuries. The council must now decide how to proceed." Sarah stepped forward, her hands clasped behind her back. "With respect, Chancellor, Earth does not require the council to decide anything about our status. We are here as a courtesy, to explain our position and our intentions for the future." A murmur rippled through the chamber. No one spoke to the council this way, but no one had the power to stop her from speaking however she chose. "For 200 years you watched us," Sarah continued. "You placed surveillance satellites in our system. You monitored our communications. You studied us like specimens in a laboratory. And what did you see? War, violence, nuclear weapons, conflicts that nearly destroyed our world." "Exactly," said Admiral Shentok, his insect-like body clicking with agitation. "You were dangerous, unstable. We contained you for the good of the galaxy." "No," Sarah said firmly. "You contained us because you were afraid. You saw a species that evolved through competition and conflict, and you assumed we would bring that violence to the stars. You never stopped to consider that we might learn from our mistakes, that we might grow, that we might become something better. She walked to the center of the chamber where everyone could see her clearly. Yes, we were violent. Yes, we fought wars. But do you know what we learned from those wars? We learned the cost of conflict. We learned that violence destroys everything we build. We learned that cooperation and unity are stronger than division and hate. By the time you found us, we were already changing. But you never gave us the chance to show you. You pretended to be primitives, accused Ambassador Krax of the Thorn Empire. You lied to us. We protected ourselves, Sarah corrected. When we discovered your surveillance, we had a choice. We could reveal ourselves and risk becoming your servants, your junior partners forever treated as inferiors. Or we could buy time to understand what kind of galaxy we lived in. We chose to wait and watch. Just as you watched us, Zixthar spoke up, his 4 eyes meeting Sarah's gaze. And what did you see when you watched us, Commander? Sarah took a breath. This was the moment of truth. We saw a council that maintains peace through the threat of force. We saw species ranked by when they joined, not by their merit or contributions. We saw rigid hierarchies, territorial disputes, and countless small conflicts kept quiet to maintain the appearance of harmony. We saw a galaxy that claims to value peace but has forgotten how to truly achieve it. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives shouted denials, accusations, demands for apologies. But Sarah stood her ground, waiting for the noise to die down. We also saw good, she continued when silence returned. We saw species helping each other. We saw trade and cultural exchange. We saw genuine friendship between different civilizations. We saw a galaxy trying to be better, even if it did not always succeed. That is why we chose to help when the Krethians attacked. Not because we serve the Council, but because we believe in protecting innocent lives. High Chancellor Mora raised one crystalline hand for silence. Then what do you want, Commander Chen? What does Earth seek from the Council? Nothing, Sarah said simply, and the word hung in the air like a challenge. We do not seek membership. We do not seek approval or recognition. We do not need the Council's permission to exist or to act. Earth is a sovereign power, and we will chart our own course among the stars. Then why are you here? Asked Ambassador Vrel of the Peaceful Union, her tentacles curling with confusion. Because isolation is not the answer either, Sarah explained. We spent 2 centuries hiding, and while it kept us safe, it also kept us alone. Humanity does not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to conquer or dominate, but we also will not be ruled or dominated by others. What we want is partnership, cooperation between equals. She gestured to the holographic display which showed images of human ships patrolling former Krethian territory, working alongside Council vessels. Our fleets are already assisting with peacekeeping operations. We are helping to rebuild worlds damaged by the war. We are sharing some of our medical technology to help treat wounded populations. This is what we offer. Not service but alliance, not submission but friendship. And if we refuse? Admiral Shentok asked coldly. If we decide that Earth is too dangerous to exist freely? Sarah met his gaze without flinching. Then you will learn what the Krethians learned. Earth's defenses are impenetrable. Our technology is beyond anything the Council possesses. Any attack on our worlds will fail. But more than that, it will prove that the Council values control more than cooperation. It will show the galaxy that you are exactly what we feared you were. The chamber fell silent. The threat was clear, but it was also true. Earth could not be forced into submission. The Council had to accept humanity as equals or declare them enemies. There was no middle ground. High Chancellor Mora's crystalline form seemed to dim, then brighten as she processed this impossible situation. Finally, she spoke. The Council will need time to discuss this matter, but I believe I speak for many when I say that war with Earth serves no one. Perhaps it is time for the Council to evolve as well. There is one more thing, Sarah added. A proposal. Earth requests permission to establish embassies on Council worlds, and we invite Council species to establish embassies on Earth. Let us learn about each other properly, not through surveillance and deception, but through open dialogue. Let us build trust slowly and carefully. And your military? Asked Ambassador Vrel. Your fleets are far more powerful than ours. How can we trust that you will not use that power to impose your will? Sarah smiled slightly. The same way we learned to trust you, through time and through actions. Our fleets will continue to patrol areas affected by the war, but we will do so in cooperation with Council forces. We will share intelligence and coordinate responses to threats. We will prove through our behavior that we seek peace, not domination. Zixthar stepped forward, standing beside Sarah. I have spent months studying humanity closely. I have seen their cities, met their leaders, and learned their history. They are not the primitives we believed them to be. They are not the threat we feared. They are simply another species trying to find their place in the galaxy. I propose that the Council accept Earth's offer of alliance. The debate that followed lasted for days. Some Council members argued passionately for acceptance. Others demanded restrictions and limitations on human activities. A few still called for military action, though these voices grew quieter as more details of Earth's capabilities became known. Finally, a vote was called. The measure passed by a narrow margin. The Council would accept Earth as an independent ally, not a member but a partner. Embassies would be established. Trade agreements would be negotiated. Military cooperation would continue. It was not perfect, but it was a beginning. Sarah stood on the observation deck of the Council station, looking out at the stars. Zixthar joined her, his reflection visible in the transparent material. "Do you think this will work?" he asked quietly. "Can we truly build trust after everything that has happened?" "I do not know," Sarah admitted. Trust takes time. It requires patience and understanding from both sides. There will be challenges. There will be misunderstandings and conflicts. But I believe it is possible. Why? Zixthar asked. Why do you believe in this after seeing all of the Council's flaws? Sarah turned to face him, her expression serious but hopeful. Because we have learned something important about ourselves. Humanity survived because we learned to work together despite our differences. We nearly destroyed ourselves, but we chose a different path. If we could do it, then maybe the galaxy can too. Maybe that is humanity's real gift to the stars. Not our weapons or our technology, but our experience. We know what it is like to stand on the edge of destruction and choose a better way. She looked back at the stars, at the vast expanse of space filled with countless worlds and civilizations. The Council has maintained peace for 10,000 years, but it is a peace built on hierarchy and control. Maybe it is time for something new. A peace built on cooperation and respect. A galaxy where species work together because they choose to, not because they are forced to. That is a beautiful dream, Zixthar said softly. It is, Sarah agreed. And humanity has learned that beautiful dreams are worth fighting for, not with weapons, but with hope and determination and the willingness to believe that we can be better than we are. Far away, on Earth, Admiral Hayes watched the proceedings through a secure transmission. Around her, the command center buzzed with activity as human ships continued their patrols and peacekeeping operations across the galaxy. The hidden fleet was hidden no more. Earth had emerged from the shadows and taken its place among the stars. But they had not done it through conquest or domination. They had done it by proving that strength could be used to protect rather than threaten, that advanced technology could serve life rather than destroy it, that the species once thought too violent to join galactic civilization had instead become its most dedicated defenders. The interstellar shockwave triggered by Earth's revelation would continue to spread for years. The galaxy would never be the same. Old assumptions were shattered. New possibilities emerged. And humanity, the species that had hidden its light for 2 centuries, now shone brightly among the stars, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as partners, protectors, and friends, as equals who had earned their place not through submission but through courage, wisdom, and the unshakable belief that even the most violent species could choose peace. The story of Earth's hidden fleet would be told for generations, but the real story, the one that mattered most, was just beginning. It was the story of how humanity and the galaxy learned to trust each other, how they built something new together, how they proved that the future did not have to repeat the mistakes of the past. It was the story of hope. And in the darkness of space, hope shone brighter than any star.